We'd like to welcome all of you again to another presentation here of our broadcasting, the Issues Room, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the Issues Room page. It's a pleasure having you as usual. We say thank you for joining us. As we know, this is a lot of time put into this, and for you to come and join us, we're very, very grateful and thankful to you every time you show up here with us. This evening is our 137th broadcast, and it's going to be a good one. We'll be looking at the recent press statement that came out from the U.S. ambassador frowning on Liberians in the diaspora, particularly podcasters and talk show hosts who have platforms and political folks who he consider as politicians who continue to give misinformation in his words about the happenings in Liberia. So we have a tag team here tonight. We'll have a great conversation. So we'd like to welcome you, Godwin We Adore, Virgin on you. Thanks, guys, for coming through. Let me just roll the dice, bring in Moses Sandy, bring in Alfonso Yuna, and bring in Dennis Jah. Dennis, thank you. You're the first guy, so I gave you the opportunity to say thank you for joining us here tonight. It's a pleasure having you in the Issues Room for the first time and for honoring our invitation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shelton. Also wanted to thanks to Mr. Cindy for the invitation. I'm happy to be here. First time in the Issues Room. And it's my pleasure. You guys have been doing a tremendous job. And you say 130 something edition. I mean, you started and you already at 138. That's commendable. Thank you so much. And I'm glad to see my good old friend, Mr. Alfonso, all hand in the business as well. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. And you yourself doing great. The FOL focus on Liberia. I mean, I see you guys diversifying the platform, doing a lot of things, got different, programs. So it's like you're running a real television station.
Yeah, we try. Thank you.
Moses?
Yeah, I would just like to add on to what you say. They got correspondence, in Liberia. I think all through Liberia, right? Dennis, you
Not
got
yet, but
several
we almost there.
correspondence. Yeah. You guys are doing a remarkable job. But let me say welcome to the Issues Room. It's a pleasure to have you. To my friend and brother Alfonso Vulcano. It's also good to be with you guys this evening as we, come to delve into the issues of today. Thank you.
Alfonso?
Yeah, good to see you again, brothers. It's always nice being here, and interacting and having conversations about issues that impact us, but also our people. So it's great. Dennis, it's been a while. Good to see you. I watched your show last two editions, and as the other guys said, you're doing great. I think you all, by starting this process, informing our people and just creating the environment for people to discuss is exciting, is wonderful, and is contributing significantly to the building of our democracy and the strengthening of civil society. So thank you all.
Let me bring in the president of ALJA. I'm not going to get it wrong tonight. The Association of Liberian Journalists.
Correct you.
You are looking for it. Mr. Joe Mason, thank you, man, for joining us here tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation. It's really good to be back on the Issues Room. By the way, it's my first appearance since Alfonso joined the team. So I just want to say how pleased I am that he's a part of his family.
Yeah.
Knowing Alfonso and his work, I know he's a professional who brings a lot of credibility and integrity to the platform. And by the way, he's a member of ALJA as well. So we have now 3 ALJA members on the Issues Room who are doing incredible work. So, gentlemen, as president, I couldn't be more pleased and proud. So thanks for the work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, I also want to say how pleased I am to be on with Dennis. He and his team over at Focus on Liberia are also doing some amazing work. So Dennis, thanks for just the incredible work you're doing. And I also want to say that ALJA folks are also over at Focus on Liberia doing that well. So thank you, Dennis.
No, thank you. I'm also honored to be here in the presence of these professional gentlemen, journalists, some of whom we listen to in Liberia, and we watch you and read some of your work in the paper. So I'm honored to be here, and first time in Issues Room, and it's exciting.
Thank you. Godwin, we are done. Yeah, he says happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Is this St. Patrick's Day today?
Yes.
Okay. As you have woman green.
The Cavaliers are already celebrating. Yeah.
But anyway, Moses, let's push this envelope quick. Let's talk about what's trending right now in Liberia.
Yeah, and gentlemen, we want to make this participatory. We want all of you guys to chip in.
We haven't started the actual conversation.
Yeah, but just the trending
so we have
news.
2 headlines to cover.
We had 2 top stories. President Weah and delegation departed Liberia today for the United Arab Emirates, and from there they will be coming to the United States. That's one of the biggest stories. This time around, we don't know how long he's going to be away, maybe another 2 months again. And that's the story. What do you think, Mr. President?
Well, I haven't seen or heard the story, but do you know the nature of the visit to the U.S.? Did you see?
Well, the information minister was on our broadcast here. He talked about the president coming for, I think, an Obama summit.
Okay.
So it's not an official invitation from the American government through President Biden. It's something that President Obama, initiated, and some summit for African leaders. I believe that's what he's coming to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyone who wants to chip in?
Yeah, I can come in real quickly. First of all, I think every time our leaders engage with democratic leaders and democratic societies, let's hope it's a good thing, and let's hope they learn, but they also get guidance from these democratic leaders and these democratic societies that they visit. Again, as the president said, I don't know a lot of details about it. I'll look it up. I'll see what the purpose of this meeting gathering is, and what the Obama Foundation wants to derive from getting, African leaders, and I shouldn't say African leaders from around the world to come and participate in this gathering. I can only hope that our leaders will learn from it, and by extension, our country and our people will benefit from the visit.
I actually was taken by surprise when my FOL reporter was at the RIA to see the president off. And he's traveling. I also don't know the details of the trip, but I believe it's not out of the ordinary. The president has been traveling, and I was talking also to one of the president's supporters. He said, well, you guys have lowered the bar so much that anytime the president travel, because at some point they say, well, the president cannot go to the States. So because you've set that standard for him, I was told, when he travel, we celebrate because he's coming to the United States. Whatever he's going for, whatever he's doing there really is irrelevant to us. All we want to see is the president should travel. So he has traveled. And it's kind of also interesting that the traveling on the eve of his travel, I know we're going to talk about Ambassador McCarthy's statement. It was just the time that the ambassador is talking these things. He's saying these things. Is that coincidence? Also, we see that there is some tension in Liberia from the University of Liberia campus. You see that students' politics on campus has been suspended. The students are protesting. They're burning tires. And the president is leaving. Normally, when your house is on fire, you don't leave. But I don't know to what extent these things matter to the president or what he thinks his involvement should be. But he's leaving anyway. And so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And I just saw a message that came from one of our viewers asking if Minister Rennie is on this delegation. We don't know. But if he is, we will surely know. Maybe before tomorrow, the news will be out there in terms of who is on the delegation and who is not. So, Dennis, you already went to the second top story, the situation at the University of Liberia. Yesterday, the U administration banned student politics on all campuses of the University of Liberia. Gentlemen, what are the pros and cons of this decision? How do you see it, Fukano?
Well, banning student politics by a democratically charged government, for me, is a disconnect. And I say that in honesty. If it was a military regime, you can look at it from that perspective. But being a democratic society, I think there are ways to go around it. If they thought that student politics was creating problems, maybe they could put some measures in place that would govern it rather than ban it, because that tells me that probably it's something that driving us to a place where it might create more chaos in the society, and those students might not just take it lightly. They might try to push it and to see what the backlash or blaze will be. But I don't think that approach was right from our perspective. They should have maybe put some measures in place that will govern it, that will guide it in a way that is not disturbing the peace at the universities or creating any kind of you know uh uh you know unintended situation.
Mr. Mason.
Yeah, I tend to agree with those who believe that the university decision was a knee-jerk reaction, because you would think that after what unfolded at the university, there will be a comprehensive investigations done, and then after the investigation, you figure out what led to the situation on campus, and then based on the investigation, you begin to formulate reactions that will prevent a recurrence. But I believe that just banning political activities of students on campus, I think it will elicit some sort of reaction from the students. I don't believe the students will receive this news lying down, and I think we're looking forward to more unrest on the campus of the university. I hope that doesn't happen, but if history is anything to go by, I certainly do not believe that the students will take this lying down.
Mr. Jad, thanks, Mr. Mason. Mr. Jad.
Yeah, on March 13, and our reporters were on LU campus, and I was asking, go to the administration's office, ask them what's going on. He said, there's nobody here. So I'm saying this to say that on March 13, when Honorable Gray announced that he was going to campus, it decided to close the campus and just go home, right? I mean, you are looking at a problem about to occur. You said, it's not my business. You closed down and left. Now there has been violence on the campus. You come back, set up a group to investigate, headed by Dr. T. David Sandy, to investigate. At the same time, you're saying student politics is suspended. I asked myself, what does it mean? He said there should be no political group. Political activities are suspended. But, well, I can meet as a religious group and I still talk, right? So it's always not a wise thing to put bans and suspension if you are not able to adequately monitor. What do you characterize as a political group? A group of students can come together without wearing emblems or soup t-shirt or prosa t-shirt and still talk. Will you characterize that as a political group? How will you distinguish maybe a sermon from a political speech? And what are you going to do about it? Say if SOUP or PROSA or any of the student groups decided to come together, what are you going to do? Tear gas them? So it is like you are setting yourself up for failure, because after the incident on March 13, and I believe the student was somehow subdued. I believe they were thinking about it. What do we do now? But now, putting in place this ban that you know very well that you are not able to enforce, is going to reinvigorate the students. It's going to give them reason to come back and demonstrate. And we saw that today on Federal campus. They are burning tires and they are protesting already what you're putting into place. So where is this all going? And that's a question that the university administration needs to answer.
Thank you. Alfonso?
Yeah, I agree with all of you, gentlemen. I think the decision by the university administration to ban or suspend student political activities and gatherings is irresponsible. As you all said, it doesn't. I don't think it addresses the problem at all, and I don't think the situation on the university campus recently has anything to do with students being engaged in political discussions. Students are human beings. Students are citizens, and students have the right to express themselves on political issues because those issues do affect them. And suspending student political activities is, as Brother Jai and you all said, is not going to stop students from gathering. When we were at the university and student political activities were banned or police was chasing us, we met down Jalatown, we met Slippery, we met other places, and we organized and we planned activities and we executed them. So again, banning or suspending student political activities is not a solution. In the first place, the problem on the university campus was not caused because students are somehow engaging in student political activities. Students have been engaged in student political activities for I don't know when. The situation on the campus of the University of Liberia was actually inflamed by Representative Gray. What the students, everybody, first of all, has the right to go and visit the campus of the University of Liberia, and how did he went on the campus. But we must also understand that students as citizens have the right to express themselves, and what they did to How was to follow him and express their displeasure over reports of his involvement in corruption, which is free speech, which is free expression, that's protected under the Constitution. And if the administration thought that any laws were violated, or if the national police thought that anybody attacked Mr. Howe, then they should focus on arresting those people and prosecuting them, not banning student political activities altogether. And as Brother Jazz said, I saw the pictures today as well, where students have now started to demonstrate. Maybe they can't do it on the main campus because it's become a police state. So they went on Fender and started doing precisely what we're talking about. You can't stop people from getting together and expressing themselves, especially if you cannot enforce it. So I think it's irresponsible and it needs to be reversed. And it doesn't address the problem.
Let me just add this quick, Moses. And the reason I want to add this, see the timing. We head into elections. And again, we can say that this whole event was staged. How did the entire administration of the university disappeared? How did 404 of all places close down? Where this man was going to go have lunch, all of the restaurants were closed. So you can say it was staged as the precursor to this decision, and I can be corrected, but that's the way it presents, because it wasn't necessary to take this serious measure, as I said, in a democratic society and a democratic government in place. You find that to happen when military regimes are in power.
Yeah, and quickly, okay, go ahead, Joe.
I think Dennis made a point. For something of this nature, we could potentially escalate to be happening in the country, and the president doesn't even address it and then leaves the country. I mean, it just speaks, and we talked about it consistently, to this lack of leadership in the country. He's the visitor to the university. A situation of this magnitude, he needs to speak to it. He needs to address it before, even if he has to travel, he needs to address it. But not even addressing and leaving the country, I think it just speaks.
And especially Joe, perpetrated by one of his stalwarts in his party, exactly. And a sitting lawmaker who represents the CDC.
But and the very district that the university is located in, I understand. So
right, and these kind of actions, it kind of stops people from analyzing the situation and providing a workable solutions. Because now you have, first of all, it was the university students who heckled Howie, and I believe infringed on his own rights to a free movement. There were some who even hit him. As a result, we have Mr. Gray come and say, I'm going to have lunch, even though there was no cafeteria open. Another problem added without getting to the root cause of the problem. On top of that, you have the police coming to tear gas and do all that. And now with an administration saying, well, we ban student politics. So this is complete chaos. It's like nobody is kind of studying the landscape to see what is going on, what are the root causes of these issues, and how they can be addressed. So it is one bad actions on top of another bad action. This is shameful.
Yeah, and quickly, I would just like to say that for every time Mr. Weir, acts, he proves his detractors right. That Liberia is faced with leadership deficit. Like Joe said, in a situation like this, that's where leadership comes into play. The president chose to look the other way. Let's go into the history of this problem, right? A sitting vice president of the Republic of Liberia went to the university campus. She was called names. And let's get it right here. The university is a public facility. The right students have to be there. Public officials also have that same rights to be there. So if as the second most powerful person in the country went on the campus of the university and a group of students got together to shame her, that's where again leadership comes in. Mr. President, you take the phone and call the president of the university. Say, hey, I saw this. I'm bothered by this. There are rules. The university cannot be a no-go, terrain for public officials. You contain that problem. The president said nothing. Other officials of government, the president said nothing. Akawa's grade mobilized people. They went on the campus of the university, disturbed the peace of the university. Not only that, somebody, we are told, even got killed in that process. The government went ahead and arrested 6 students, threw them into prison. Akawa's grade, Yaka Koluba, and others that show up are walking the streets of Monrovia free. So where's leadership? Where's leadership? And that's how I would like to wrap it.
All right, we're going
I just want to make a really quick point to that.
Okay.
I agree, and I have no objection that the University of Liberia campus is a public facility, and every citizen and resident in Liberia should have a right to go to the campus. What I have a little bit of disagreement is that the students too, given their right to free expression, do have a right to boo anybody who they want to boo on the campus.
Booing is fine.
Liberia, you can boo people, you can jeer people. Don't touch them though. If you assault somebody, then you've broken the law. So I don't think we should even ask the administration or anybody to stop the students from exercising their right of shaming people who they believe are corrupt, who they believe are responsible for their plight and the plight of the Liberian people. Again, when they booed Mr. Howe, my understanding is that they booed him. Not my understanding. I saw the video. They were saying roll, 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 because they believe that based upon media reports that he was involved or has been involved. Exactly. In corrupt acts. So the way part of the way, which is I believe the main way to address this thing is not to tell students, oh, don't boo people. It's to make sure that the people do the right thing. So if I think students have the right to boo, I think students have the right. They don't have the right to physically assault people or to destroy property.
They do not.
And if they do that, they should be held accountable.
Yeah, and so quickly, let me say this. Yes, they have the right to boo, but when students choose to call people terrible names, they call the sitting vice president names that I'm not prepared. None of us here is prepared to call such name on this platform. Terrible names. That's unacceptable. That's uncivilized. That should not be encouraged. The university administration failed to act. The president of the Republic of Liberia failed to act. You know, let me stop
All right,
there.
Yeah.
guys. 7:25 in the city. Let's move
One
on.
second, Mr. Shelton, before
Okay.
Mr. Sandy mentioned about a death, right?
Mhm.
There was a photo about uh, someone who died
Oh,
lying on
gentlemen,
the
yeah.
floor on
Yeah.
the pavement. I verify when I check on that, that was a lie.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
there's another death, right? But that particular one, there was a photo published 2016 in the New Dawn. And
Okay.
so the person who published that photo, I called him and he said that was soup propaganda. But that's dangerous.
Okay.
Okay, but whatever the situation is, what unfolded
Yeah.
on Monday at the New York campus is just unacceptable. Go ahead, Volcano.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. We are here. Great discussion. That was just the teaser to what we're about to talk about.
Oh,
And I think Dennis did say something regarding our topic here tonight. How could the ambassador, just days before President we are coming to America, declare that many of us here who have political platforms, politicians in America are in the comfort of our studios, being protected under the American Constitution. Politicians being protected under the American constitutions, but we're giving misinformation about Liberia. And I kind of looked at the statement and I was thinking, is he trying to be duplicitous in the way? Because it's like 1 minute you're on his side, you're telling post sanction, you're like blaming people, you got to fight for yourself. Then another minute you come here and you blaming people. So, gentlemen, y'all know the cross. I could have, gone in depth with the press release. I have it right here. But I'm sure a lot of you here, or all of us, have read it. And the main crust of it is that he said, while responsible critical observations from the Liberian diaspora can be healthy, some cowardly media personalities and political personalities have intentionally disseminated rumors of misinformation into Liberia's political environment from the safety of the studios and offices in the U.S. Intentionally. Who wants to go first?
Look, let me take the lead on that. And I would like to come from a strength perspective. There are a couple of things that Ambassador Marco McCarthy need to be recognized for and applauded for. Since 2021, when he was appointed as U.S. Ambassador to Liberia, Ambassador McCarthy and the U.S. government have gone aggressively in bringing people to book in Liberia as a result of malfeasance. Nathaniel McGill, Serena Seaforth, Bill Torrey, and the list goes on. So that's a significant accomplishment. The ambassador is a career diplomat. You know, he has many years of working experience. He was in South Africa. He was a U.S. volunteer in Togo and many other places that he has served. So he brings a lot of experience to this business, and we respect him for that. But this is where I personally disagree with the ambassador on. Like all of you have said, the ambassador made a blanket statement. For the ambassador to imply that podcasters in the United States and other places are propagating messages that have the propensity of undermining the peace and stability of Liberia, I think he was in error. I know he could have been speaking, as a result of some of the reports emanating, but again, this is where sometimes you need to call a speed a speed. It would have been well presented had the ambassador identified the individuals. If you say, hey, Moses Sandy or the issues room is engaged in propagating falsehood, that would make a lot of sense than to come and hold everybody, accountable for something that they play no role in. I know he may have been talking about the allegations that emanated from the former chair of the TRC, Councillor Jerome Verdiot, and some of the reports that are put out there by Deputy Information Minister Eugene Fagon. But he didn't come to call name. He just made this open statement that draw the integrity of everybody into question. I think that's unfair. It is unfair because most of these reports are emanated abroad, not 100% correct, but I would say 80% of those reports reflect happenings into this Liberia. And let me stop
just
there.
quickly add this before you guys come in. He said these people are motivated by disruption and a desire to break down trust in Liberian institutions. They don't care what damage they cause. And when questioned by law enforcement, they do not have evidence to back up their claims. Unfortunately, they take advantage of America's First Amendment rights to spread rumors and stir up trouble in your country, which is despicable behaviors. Wow.
Yeah,
Joe, I see you smiling. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Milton.
Oh, sorry, I had you muted because you kept getting a phone call. Go ahead.
Okay, so first, for an organization like ALJA that advocates for responsible journalism, and not only talk the talk but walk the walk by investing, our time, energy, and resources into training and capacity building and logistics for the media, we find Ambassador McCarthy's call for responsible journalism very welcoming. At least it's called for responsible journalism. I can emphasize enough the need for responsible journalism and how it enhances our democracy, especially with general and presidential elections just on the horizon, whether it is practiced in Liberia or coming from the diaspora. So we're pleased that, he has a big microphone, we're all talking about it. We're pleased that he's shining that spotlight on something that I believe, we all can agree as media professionals, is very critical to our fledgling democracy. That said, the segment of the ambassador's speech in which he was critical of what he referred to as, and Moses, I know, the statement appeared to indict, everybody, but I think he did say some cowardly, media professionals and political professionals as well. But I think it was really unusual coming from a diplomat. I don't know if any of his predecessors has ever been this direct in the criticism, of the media, of political actors here in the diaspora. But while I do not necessarily agree with all the points the ambassador made, I think we can all be honest and agree that there have been some utterances coming out of the diaspora that have been reckless and have been irresponsible. All of us have a responsibility to ensure that the information we are putting out there is factual. The information we're putting out there enhances our discourse. But I also believe that irresponsible utterances represent the exception. I don't believe it is the rule. But if you read the ambassador's statement, you would think that this is something that, is an ongoing issue coming from all the diaspora. Opposition figures have themselves been at the receiving end of reckless and irresponsible statements. So I don't believe it's one-sided, but I think it's a good thing that we are talking about responsible journalism this time, thanks to the ambassador.
Dennis?
I think, even for those of us who are not in diplomacy, what the ambassador said, is kind of out of character for someone at his level. Coming down to speak of our country and our people in such a manner. I pick up two things, or a few things in what he said. Okay, whether what he's saying is true or not, to me, is besides the point. But is this his place? And is he respectfully addressing people? He said he's ashamed. I'm ashamed to tell you. Why? Because if I'm a father, I can be ashamed of my kids, what they've done.
Right.
or if this is my friend, he say he's ashamed. Well, why? Why are you ashamed? So I saw that, and I also saw pitting Liberians in the diaspora against Liberians at home. And this is not new because people always do that. Where you come, oh, you're sit down in America, especially those of us who are hosting shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So saying this, hey, this is what you are intentionally doing this. You are being driven by, to disrupt activities in Liberia and also to discredit institutions in the country. So how does he want people in Liberia to look at us in the diaspora if he's using these blanket statements? And at the end, he said to spread rumors and stir up trouble in your country. He's taking himself out and say there are people on this side doing bad things to disturb the country, and there are people on the other side who are at the receiving end who are going to suffer as a result of what they are doing in the States. They sit in the safety of their studios and offices in the United States to do this. And this is despicable.
And your country, Dennis, quick to add, your country rather takes away us, diaspora folks from that country. We're not a part of that country.
No.
We're only here.
Right. These people sit away.
Yeah.
They don't care. And all they want to do is to destroy your country.
Mm-hmm.
And that is dangerous because we already having that fight with our own siblings and friends in Liberia, thinking that they are the other people. And so for him to go that far, but again, people will treat you, the way you present yourself. And so the way that the ambassador used tongue lash us, because sometimes our leaders will put themselves in the position of looking towards America as this, Father save us. I mean, legislators cannot even go to the neck and call neck, say, come in and let's see what's going on. They go to the United States office and say, save us. So you have these ambassadors and other people running around, acting like governors. And why it may be, we say, well, and I agree with you, or Mr. Mason, responsible journalism and all that. That's what we've all been calling for. But it's like, because your child misbehaves, someone from the outside come and say, yeah, you are wrong. Let me beat you up. It's the kind of way we're looking at it. We should also bear in mind that at what point do we celebrate what these people say about us? And at what point do we say, no, you're going too far? Education is very important for all of us so that we understand when people make these kind of statements, what they are driving at and how, and what has been their history of dealing with us. That will help. But indeed, journalism and right here in the United States and back home need to be responsible. But is that a place for Mr. McCarthy to come and chastise us? I don't believe so.
Let's hear from Alfonso.
Yeah, I think you guys basically made all of the very key and important points here. I do not disagree with the ambassador. I know we discussed that a few days back, a few shows back. We discussed the importance of responsible journalism, responsible and ethical journalism. So we all know that. We all understand that. Some of you here, all of us, have gone to journalism school and practiced journalism at some point. I think where the ambassador went afoul and did a disservice to us and to our country is that he should have, if he felt that there were people, or there are people in the diaspora, specifically in the United States, who are intentionally trying to undermine the peace and undermine Liberian institutions, that he has a responsibility to be specific and to also point to the specific things that they've done or said that are undermining or have the potential to undermine peace in our democratic institutions. Failing to do so, as all of you have said, failing to do so, what he did is that he cast a wide net, cast a dark cloud on everybody, and gave ammunition unnecessarily to people back home and detractors and corrupt government officials who can always point to that. Oh, you're lying. In fact, the ambassador said so. So that's dangerous. That was very, very dangerous. And I hope he's hearing this show, or that he hear other show, and other, journalists, organizations here, and at home will take him up on that.
Let me add this quick while you go in that trend of thought, because it's important here. Was he speaking out of frustration? Because he says here, first, in both our US founded media training and our messaging to the press, we spend a lot of time emphasizing responsible journalism. Would that be frustration? That, because I think the thought here is that when you bring your studio guests in, maybe you need to, hold them accountable for what they say, because your medium is the medium by which whatever they spew out there, it kind of, put you out there as the medium.
Exactly. So journalists have a responsibility to push back, to fact check, and to push back on your guests, or if you don't have the facts at the moment, to come back and correct. So yes, that if that's what it meant, that responsibility. And I do not sit here arguing that every journalist and every podcaster in this country is doing the right thing or has the right intentions. The point I'm making here, which I think you all made, is that casting the clouds that the ambassador cast on almost every podcast, without singling out people who he believe had those intentions. I don't know how he knows they have the intentions of just disrupting, the peace of the country. But it's good to point those things out. Just as he didn't just say all of the government is corrupt, right? By policy, the U.S. government single out certain government officials who they believe were driving corruption and sanction them. By that same token, I believe he should have, been specific, and that wouldn't have cast a cloud on everybody. Now we all have to struggle to fight and make sure that we're not one of the people he was referring to. And one of my fears
is a very good point. That's
a very good point. One of my fears is that detractors back home, detractors, supporters of the corrupt system, are going to continue to point to this, to discredit real debate, real discussions, and real criticism of the things that are going on in the country. Another point, finally, I want to make is that although the ambassador made this statement, but he also talked about other things that are, unfortunately, are not being raised to the level of this one issue that he talked about, but I believe are very, very important. He talked about corruption and how it's driving the country into the hole. He talked about the abolition, the curtailment of female genital mutilation, which I think are really important issues that journalists like us on this show should also try to elevate. Not that we shouldn't talk about this issue, but we should also talk about those issues. If you talk about one or two journalists in the diaspora, creating trouble, compared to the effect that corruption is causing on our country, I would rather focus on discussing and addressing the issue of corruption, because it's more fundamental. It's killing more people. It's causing more disruption. It's undermining more institutions than one or two podcasters would do.
And Alfonso, I also look at what he said about those, and I think he was also wrong, right? And I'm sitting reading this statement and wondering, how many ambassadors in the United States can even comment on the Capitol riot? How many ambassadors from other countries in the United States can go so deep in the internal affairs of the country? This man is talking about FGM, which in our society is a taboo subject. It's like coming here and you can say whatever, that he's saying, this is harmful. He is describing, he's going too detailed, right? Or he can disagree with the practice. I think he should leave those things with us, right? Because I don't believe that we can do the same when the roles were reversed. We can talk the same way about some of their practices here without getting into trouble. We have our ambassadors here who don't even meet the Assistant Secretary of State, let alone the President. But these people have unfettered access to our president or whoever, and they can say whatever. He also said corruption has been in the country for the past 200 years. Come on now. Give us some respect. What's about the United States? There are other harmful things here. You could talk about the harmful effect of everything is harmful. Even sex is harmful if it's not safe. So there are a lot of things you can say. So there are diplomatic language that he can use. There are people that he can talk to without being so public about these things. I believe that this was his statements. Most of what he said were disrespectful, and they were not. Some of them were not based on facts. Liberia has not been corrupt for 200 years.
But I think one of the things I was also struck
Okay.
by, gentlemen, was the tone of the ambassador remark, especially the one talking about media personalities and political actors in the diaspora. I mean, the words he used, I mean, ashamed, irresponsible, cowardly. I mean, it's like he was
Despicable,
trying to,
you know.
exactly, he was,
Despicable.
Yeah,
yeah, he
yeah.
was trying to drive home a point. And one of the things, I was listening to another talk show talking about, everyone now wondering who is he talking about. So the host was asking his fellow panelists whether they've heard from law enforcement officer or has any law enforcement officer ever called you to find out what's going on, because he did say that when questioned by law enforcement, folks don't have any evidence to back up their claims.
Exactly.
So I think just the lack of specificity in the remarks he made, I think leaves more question than answered in terms of what he's talking about, because he's the U.S. ambassador. He should have facts when he makes these kinds of claims, so that everybody is not in the air wondering what he's talking about. Another point he made was that the people are trying their hardest to disrupt institutions in the country. Come on. I mean, to assume that because someone make a statement, that might not be factual, that might not be fact based, is the intent to damage institutions in the country? I mean, even the president has been reckless in statements he made. I mean, he says some stuff that is not backed up by facts. But you can either say he's misinformed, he's ignorant about the facts, but they assume that people are not well intentioned in terms of some of the things they say or do. I just found out that was very wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you think
And
about it, I know Moses, you wanted to say
go
something,
ahead.
but when you think about it, again, some of these things are just happening around the corner. The president is about to leave the country and come to the U.S., and now you're saying this. It almost seems as though it's kind of deceitful here. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I understand there's some truth to what he's saying, but the way we looking at it from that generalistic point of view, without being very particular, it makes it compelling for people to be in doubt, like you said, Joe. And we will come to the point, just Moses, you were coming, then we'll come now to say the happenings on the grounds. What are the misinformation that we can discuss here tonight? Are the things that are happening on the ground that podcasters here, talk show hosts are talking about, are not the reality? Don't we have access to the internet? Don't we see these things? Come in, Moses, before we drive into that direction.
Yeah, no. I just want to piggyback on what you guys said already. Look, Liberian journalists are not saints. They are not professionals. Liberian journalists, like journalists in the United States of America, are human beings. We all have our own limitations. Not everything that is reported in the media in the United States is credible. There are some problems. So, for a U.S. ambassador to make such a blanket statement that people are deliberately reporting things with the intent to disrupt the peace of Liberia, like all of you guys have said, I think that is just over the top. He misspoke, and his statement has emboldened the current administration, supporters of the current administration. All these things. Look, I woke up Tuesday morning. Someone called me, and oh Moses, have you seen this? I said, what are you talking about? Are the issues that are being discussed in the media, are these issues the creation of people in the United States? Don't they reflect the reality of happiness in the country? Yes, not everything that has been discussed, on these various platforms, not everything is 100%, but to a greater extent, these things reflect what is obtaining in the country. So the ambassador, he made a huge statement, and that's what it says sometimes, if you have a home as a dad and you don't have control over what is happening in your home, then the outsiders begin to decide, what happens in your home. And that's the problem with Liberia. For the fact that we don't have leadership, anybody can meddle into what is happening in Liberia and just make a blanket statement. With all due respect to the ambassador, I think he misspoke. Yes, he wants credible journalism. That's what we all continue to speak about, continue to call for. We want responsible journalism, credible journalism, but to come and indict everybody in the absence of evidence, like Mr. Mason said, I think it's unfortunate. Yeah.
But let's just think about it from the perspective. Let's just say if we're being insinuating what the ambassador thought was, you just mentioned Jerome Voidia, right?
Yeah.
And Voidia appeared on Spoon TV. Wasn't the same government benefiting, bringing all the top officials and enjoying the glamour that they're being heard all over the world, and they were boasting of all of the numbers, the claim to fame. So you don't know what Jerome Voidia would say, considering Jerome Voidia. Gentlemen, let's start with Alfonso.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go to Dennis because I know from the beginning he did say he had a show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's hear from Dennis quick.
Right, and I think, and you journalists know this better than I do. Is it's not everyone. You have pundits, you have talk show hosts, you have journalists, and you have
Prophet Key.
Exactly. So someone like the ambassador should not just talk like that, right? Because even in the United States, you have, these kind of people as well. You have a whole group that at some point they even decided to have their own social media platform, right? So you have these things. So someone at the level of the ambassador should be able to make these delineations. Again, we have allowed ourselves on the social media to be, fed with junk by people we think are journalists or are being responsible. But these people exist everywhere. They do this for the numbers. All right. So we should be able to draw that clear line from those kind of things. So the ambassador cannot use that and cast expression on all Liberian media platforms in the diaspora. We know that clearly there are some platforms that, they far right or far left, or you could say so polarized and political, and they are not even ashamed to say it. And there are some who say, I'm just doing this, I'm a talk show host, I'm a propagandist. So there should be a line drawn there. And that's the fight. That's the challenge for all of us, right? We cannot see the landscape to people like these, because at the end of the day, they're going to put everyone in the same basket. So these voices should be things that we should say. These are things that we should pay attention to. We need these collaborations. We need training. We need to come together. We need to keep at this. Sometimes it's discouraging. You are discussing something very meaningful, something that people should listen to, and nobody's there because they are watching some junk or some garbage somewhere as a form of entertainment. So I want to encourage all of us not to get tired, but keep pushing and keep discussing these things. Let responsible people know that not everybody that is holding microphone is actually qualified to do this. And we cannot leave it with them. We have to fight to rescue the profession from the mouth of people who have no business being on platform and talking. They should be quiet, but we can keep them quiet. We can even learn from them some of their skills and be able to propagate that which is good. especially as we go towards election. Much of this is needed. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I have to run.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank
It was
you.
good
Thank
having
you.
you
Thank
here.
you. Good to see you,
Great
brother. Look
perspectives.
forward to seeing you more again. All right. Bye-bye.
Great perspective, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Well, gentlemen, we were moving in the direction of the happenings on the grounds. The ambassador said a lot of these things are misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
What you guys think? Is it misinformation with what happened at LU? If we discuss it, is it misinformation with what happened with Gloria
Scott?
Yeah. Is it misinformation with the everyday issues coming out of Liberia? Now, maybe people are putting their spin on it, right? But in the grand scheme of things, many things negative are happening in the country. Joe?
Yeah, no, to be fair to the ambassador, I'm not sure he's saying that most of what is happening on the ground in terms of what has been reported here is wrong. Because I think, if you qualify his statement, he said, some media personalities and political actors. I think our problem is that it lacks specificity, so you don't know who he's talking about. So, in the absence of any specific, names, institution, everyone is left to wonder who he's talking about. But I think, in terms of disrupting institutions, the government folks are doing an excellent job at disrupting institutions in the country. Exhibit A is Akira's great. I mean, he disrupted the entire, learning sphere at the University of Liberia. So there are a lot of things happening in the ground, whether it is, you talk about Gloria Moses Scott. I mean, you talked about just the lack of leadership, across the country, the lack of security, where, you can talk about all these deaths that we've gotten no resolution to. We have all these endless investigations that, leads to nowhere. So obviously, the country, lacks leadership. We talked about it, so things are happening every day and we're seeing it, but I just think that the way the ambassador presented his case is kind of suggested as if, folks here, are just spewing lies and misinformation and disinformation, where again, we all said, the government folks now, the ambassador made a whole statement, but the government folks are getting down.
Oh, they're celebrating that.
And they're making it a PR, basically like a PR campaign for them, and sharing it all around with everyone who can read it and say, hey, this is what the ambassador is saying. Everything that's coming from the diaspora is wrong. So in that way, I think he defeated the purpose for what he wanted to do.
What's this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Joe. This has become a PR, a work for the government, and with all the ills in the country, the very government came up with this big report about arms and ammunition being arrested at the Freeport. Where is the investigation today? What is the situation with the former Chief Justice, Gloria Scott? The student that was manhandled right at the U.S. Embassy. That soup student. The fate of that young man remains unknown. And everything they tell you, we will investigate. We will investigate. We investigate. No outcome. The country has become what? Insecure. People go to bed early. And you have a U.S. ambassador sitting in the comfort of Monrovia and say these are, a creation of people in the United States. They are misrepresenting the truth. But Mr. Ambassador, are you not aware that people go to bed early? People go to bed early? Are you not aware of that? Are you not aware that public officials themselves are afraid to leave the comfort of their homes?
But the ambassador go play a basketball at Invincible Park, so for him everything is safe.
So here's where I want to come in.
Yeah, if I so come in,
Here's where I want to come in a little bit and kind of, maybe slightly disagree, but agree with Joe that I think it's true that some people on social media, some people,
absolutely, nobody disputing that.
Exactly. So it's true.
Even the propagandists for the government themselves.
Exactly. Do that as well. It's on every side. Propagandists of the government here who run these podcasts and everything do things as well, and other people do those same things as well. That's not where I have my biggest problem with the ambassador. Where I have my biggest problem with the ambassador is two places. One, he did not specify whom he was referring to and what exactly those people did or said that was disruptive of any institution in Liberia. And by not doing so, he cast aspersion on everybody. I also have a problem with his tone, as if he was really talking down.
Yeah, to his children.
Down to people. It's a friend of mine, not going to say his name here. He's not a fan of the current administration, but he said to me months ago, even as the ambassador was criticizing the government, that you know what? I think this guy is going too far, because they will get used to it and think they can continue this. So even when we have a good government, a good administration, they will try to make sure that those people do what they want them to do, or else they will, basically put them down, which is American history sort of, which has happened around the world, in Africa, in Latin America. I mean, there's a history of them, overthrowing governments who do not agree to play ball with them. So my friend made this point, prominent individual made this point a while ago, and I believe the chicks are now coming home to roost, So I disagree with the tone and tenor of his voice and his presentation, because I believe he was basically talking down on us. But then, as one of our listeners just said, that's what we get when we get irresponsible people, government officials, and governments that do not care. We're just talking about the incident at the University of Liberia, and the president not addressing it, not saying a single word, and leaving the country, correct? You know who spoke about it? The ambassador. He spoke publicly about it. Our president never did. The ambassador spoke publicly about it. It took our justice minister 3 days to ask the police director to investigate. 3 days after the incident, to ask the justice minister to investigate. Even though we all saw live, stones being thrown, somebody being beaten, facilities, damaged, but the justice minister didn't see it fit to call for an investigation. The police director didn't see it fit. He had to wait for instructions from the justice minister to go, even though the police was on the scene. And there were some videos where police people were supposedly seen throwing stones, but they didn't see it fit to conduct investigations until 3 days, to start investigations until 3 days afterwards. That is horrible, and that gives an opening, right, for outsiders to basically talk down upon us and tell us what to do.
Let me quickly go to intermission. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Issues Room. This is our 137th edition. We're broadcasting here live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the Issues Room page. We'd like to encourage you, many of you here tonight. Izondu, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you, Miada Dakina, Thomas Awaji. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight again. Favor Mercy Gray, Ram Snodden, Godwin Weado, and Victoria Mitchell. Angasi Oedwalu, my man, you disappeared. How's everything going? Message to the legatees. It's good to see you joining us here tonight. Johnson Colley, it's also good to see you. Joe Eddie, or Ja Eddie, actually. Ja Eddie, good to see you. Gwen Jones Smith. Amma Freeman, also good to see you here tonight. A lot of you who have shown up, Elvis Morris and Yumontro Kranga, and also Forje Monyu. Thank you so much for coming through tonight. Gentlemen, we have the segment that we talk about. It's going to come later. Joe, I hope you guys some stuff scratch or squibble somewhere. It's called What Type of Country Is This? and so you you will join us at
So you
some
want to introduce
to start
the
thinking about
ALJA
it.
president to
Yeah.
that?
So that segment going to be coming toward the end. I know that we should open the line at this point, but as we
Yeah.
continue the conversation,
Yeah.
so again, as we were saying, the ambassador has made his statement. He's throwing his rock, and now he's going back in the embassy fence. So,
Yeah.
Moses, you want to say something?
Yeah, look, yeah, I just want to provide this information. The tenure of the ambassador has come to an end. So very soon, his tour of duty will be coming to an end, and he will be leaving Liberia. But like I
Is that
said
why he threw
earlier,
it? Is that why he threw the stone?
yeah. So like I said earlier, one thing that we can credit him for is that during his leadership at the embassy, the U.S. Ambassador, like the United States as a whole, has been very, very powerful in holding people accountable in our country. So we need to commend him for that. You all know that the de facto president, whenever that man goes to bed, when he hears the name Michael McCarthy,
Because he praised on
that's
it,
a
right?
nightmare for him.
The man, you know the funny thing. You know the funny thing. Somebody wrote Joe before you come in. Somebody wrote here. What type of country is this? He said, "We never seen the pastor, the voodoo man, the imam, all of them together and see not praying for one man on Nathaniel McGill. All of them went together."
No,
Yeah,
Moses,
so yeah, God, let me give
Moses,
it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. The ambassador and the U.S. embassy and the U.S. government actually have done and continue to do tremendously for the people of Liberia. The positions they have taken, had they not taken those positions, I don't know, where we would have been by
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
The support that they've given. So definitely, we should give credit to where credit is due.
Yeah.
His role really in spelling out and pointing out corruption in the country and the impact of corruption, but also the support generally that the U.S. government has been giving to civil society organizations to strengthen them has been immense, has been tremendous. And yes, I agree with you. The U.S. government, Ambassador McCarthy, should be commended. Of course, just as we're not perfect, he's not perfect, and he slipped on this case, and so we can rightfully criticize him, but at the same time, we can also give him his laurels for the good things that he has done as a person, but also what the U.S. government, and American people have done through him and the U.S. embassy in Liberia.
Joe?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't want people to interpret, a disagreement with the ambassador on this one issue to be anything other than our disagreement on this one issue.
Joe, quick. Joe, quick.
Yeah.
You remember my girls reporter said they were going to go after the ambassador so they can recall him?
Oh yeah, I can remember that.
But if you remember, I know someone mentioned playing basketball with the president. I think it was the day after the ambassador played basketball with the president that the sanctions were
and they announced the sanctions.
So
no, it was the day before.
Yeah, that was it. That was the magazine before. Yeah,
either the day before or the day after.
Yeah.
But I think they've. I think it goes back to his confirmation hearings, because when the ambassador was confirmed, I think one of the things that was made clear, and I think if you remember, it was probably Senator Robert Menendez.
Yeah, Menendez.
Yes.
Yeah,
emphasized the need for the ambassador to clean up when it comes to corruption.
Yeah.
So
go to Liberia and fight corruption.
And
that was the mandate.
Yes, he's done a pretty good job. Look, we complain about corruption in Liberia. On many occasions, we've written about it, we've spoken about it, but whose voice made the president to remove McGill, Cephas, and Bill Tuaway?
Yeah.
It was the Americans.
Yeah.
So their voice is loud. They are perhaps even more respected than the citizens of Liberia, And so we just want to commend the ambassador for the work they're doing, and I'm hoping that whoever replaces him will be even strong when it comes to the issue of corruption in the rule of law in the country.
I think that was a great point. And again, from my end, Mr. Ambassador, I applaud you for your service to our country. Even when you're recalled, don't make Liberia a place of the past. You can still, visit, and hopefully some of the things you've done in Liberia will remain. And we pray that the next ambassador will be even more critical than you, because imagine us going to elections. I will hope that you stay before the election is over, or if you were to be recalled prior to the end of the elections, it is my hope that the next person will really be on top of things, because from what we're seeing here, our election is not quite on track yet, and all of these things are happening. Is there a way to put fear in the people? Let's hope for the best. The line is open, 404-272-2808. Call 404-272-2808 if you want to add your weight. We appreciate it. We're discussing the statement from the American ambassador regarding some of the folks who have talk shows, who are podcasters here in the U.S., and politicians who enjoy the protection of the American society from the comfort of America. And he says that some folks are the reasons why institutions are falling apart in Liberia, because of what they continue to paint about the country. And of course, some of those information given are not factual. However, we want to look at some of the things that are happening in the country as a result of what is actually happening in the country. Now, we just seen a lot of things happening over the last few days. Could the ambassador come back and talk about some of those things, Moses?
Well,
because again, we talked about how, the current folks, supporters of the government, now take this statement as a foundation to say, listen, you guys are the problem.
Yeah.
We are not the problem. But when you have a sitting legislature, a sitting legislator marching gallantly, and Akaros Gray was marching gallantly.
With talks.
Marching without, he blocked the traffic. Who goes to lunch? The main office is right from across the road. He could have just getting a ticket or just cross the road and said,
the man was going to have lunch, man. That's what you do when you're going to have lunch. You take the whole Lakbasi with you march, black traffic, and go have lunch.
So now the poor students are the one. Why couldn't the ambassador call for the immediate release of those students? Why can't the ambassador talk about what happened to Christopher Sisuli? Because it was right in front of the embassy.
And
he was, manhandled. So let's call a spade here.
The auditors.
We appreciate everything he's done so far, but there are some, very important things that we thought he could have added inside this speech to say, even though XYZ, but here's some of the reality, and we're going to address that. I would think, but this little remark was just more so. It kind of puts a wedge on what we are doing, and I use the word "we" because since he was not specific,
he was talking to everyone.
It pulls us to ask ourselves: is it me he talking to? Who is he talking to? So I could be a part of the issues room could be a part of the sum. We don't know. But there are many other things he could be talking about.
So, Volcano, if I could just come in quickly, right? I know Joe and I were talking about this, prior to this show. And I even had this conversation with the Minister of Information. And in fact, when he appeared on our show, we reiterated the same problem. To say, hey, Mr. Minister, the biggest problem the Liberian government is faced with is credibility. All the government has to do the right thing. If the government is credible, no amount of negative or publicity or propaganda will put a dent in the image of the government. Continue to do the right thing. Today I saw a publication in the New Liberian where the Ministry of Information launched a program called Taking the Government to the People. And when I saw that, I just laughed. First thing, the ministry does not even have the resources. Is Ledger who telling us that he's going to send people to Lofa, to Grand G there, to Maryland County? You have a state broadcast entity, EOBC. You have a Ministry of Information. All you need to do the right thing, and all of these institutions will tell your story. But you want to start sending people to villages? How many persons? Or is the government in the position of sending people abroad to hold town hall meetings? Do you know how much that's going to cost you? I'm saying this to say that the way forward is the government to prove itself right. Do the right thing. Hold people accountable. Ensure that there's rule of law in Liberia. When someone commits a crime, the person is held accountable. Or minimize the brazen corruption. When you begin to make progress on that, your image will improve. Anything other than that, you will cry every day, because everything that we discuss on these talk shows, there are things that are obtaining in the country. We did not create a situation at the University of Liberia. Glorious's situation, Glorious lost a daughter in such a tragic way. Now she's been treated like a suspect. Is that the creation of people in America? Of course not. The stories are just too many. So, Joe, I come to you.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I know Dennis spoke earlier about the ambassador sticking down to folks in Liberia. Look, the way you conduct yourself is how someone treats you eventually. If someone walks in your house and the way you present yourself, that's exactly how they're going to interact with you.
That's true.
We're so dependent on the United States for everything. The president is almost like, when you listen to seditions in the past, is that the biggest wish was for the president to just come and visit the U.S. And looking for the photo op, taking picture with. Can a U.S. ambassador, say for example, in a country like Rwanda, conduct himself similarly? I doubt it, because the president there is a progressive president. He's doing the best he can. Obviously you can question his him or his record, but he's doing the best he can to develop this country. And I believe if we were doing the same thing, if we're putting the interests of our country before our selfish interests, you would not have someone talking down to us. If you are aggressive when it comes to this fight against corruption, you will not have your ministers been sanctioned by the United States government. So, the way we carry ourselves as a country and as a people, that's exactly how people are going to treat us. And until we change the style of our leadership, until we put the interest of the country and the people first and foremost, we will make no progress. And maybe the next ambassador will say even worse than his previous one.
Yeah, Alfonso.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with Joe. Again, let's look at the situation in Magibie not very long ago.
Okay.
The U.S. government actually took U.S. taxpayers' money, gave it to the health sector. The money was squandered. So that's exactly, I believe, the point that Joe is making. The way you carry yourself, the way you treat your people, is how people will respect you. Is how people will treat you.
Mm-hmm.
Our president leaves the country and he goes to wherever, France or whatever. Oh, they gave the president $1 million, $10 million, and we're excited and we're jubilating about it and we're dancing. We are failing to even raise and put our own resources to use. We're beggars. We have been turned to a beggar nation. We're going around and begging people for money and then bringing the money. And then, that's. So when you beg people to feed your family, when you beg people to build your roads, when you beg people to bring medication for your citizens, those people have a say. They have a say. They have to tell you how they want you to use the money that they gave you. They have to tell you that you have to account for it. They have to send accountants into your institutions to make sure that you're spending the money the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically the way we treat ourselves. Is one of the things the ambassador also said is that Liberia is a wealthy country. It's not like Ethiopia. It's not like Cape Verde. It's like those other countries. Why is it that we and our government is unable to provide medication to our people in Margibi County? Why is it that the medication that was sent by the U.S. government, U.S. taxpayers to Nimba County is stolen from the clinics such that the people don't have access to medication in those places? And you expect that the U.S. ambassador will not say anything about it, that he will not be critical about it? Of course he will be. Because A, is being reported in the media. 2, he has to report back. And 3, is his taxpayers' money. So again, is the way we carry ourselves. Our government says, this administration says, they've generated the largest budget ever in the history of the country. They generated the largest revenue in the country. Where is it going? How come we're not even paying our employees? How come our school roofs are leaking and we don't even have students in clinics and medication, drinking water?
Yeah, and just to come in on that, right? The government claimed to have the biggest budget. Right now, the current budget is almost $780 million US, and the government allocates $100,000 to the hospital in Buchanan. Gentlemen, can you run a hospital on $100,000 US?
Yeah.
The other night, I read a post that emanated from Senator Yomdi Kanga. The other night, she had to literally mobilize people because they had 2 presidents that were on oxygen. And when you're on oxygen, you're being treated for shortness of breath, you cannot afford to have no electricity. Obviously, this person is going to die. They had 2 presidents on oxygen, and the generator went off.
Yep, I saw that report as well. Yeah.
So this lady said she had to literally mobilize somebody to go open their gas station just to supply fuel for the generator. I know someone will say, well, we're going off tangent. But basically, the point I'm making here is that if you are boasting of having almost $780 million US, national budget, then that should not be happening. Let's take it at the family level. Our greatest problem in Liberia, and I would say Africa as a whole, and with particular focus on Liberia, is the dependency syndrome. And the 4 of us here will work. If I Moses saying they will all the time have to call Joe Mason, my man, the kids don't have food today. Oh, my man, can you help pay the cell phone bill? And my wife is asking Joe, can you send me something for gas? Joe will decide what happens in my house. When I talk, my wife will say, who are you?
Yeah.
Do you know how we even eat in this house? Joe will be the man in charge. It's the same thing where you have fun, so it's the same thing where you for Canada. The person who provides the funding, the person who cares, the person controls everything. And that's the problem with Liberia. Everything is the international community. When you ask them, how is the education ministry being funded? They tell you, oh, we're getting this amount of money from the international community. But what are you doing with your taxes? What are you doing with the taxes when it comes to health? That's our greatest problem for Canada.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we are, and that's why we are about to head on to what type of country is this? What type of country is this, Joe? That it takes the American ambassador to talk for the government and also to talk for the people. What type of country is this?
It's this.
It's sad that a country with enormous resources finds itself in this current predicament. Look, and I agree, the problem predates George Weah. It did not begin with him, so let's not.
Yeah, no, that one that's true.
That is happening to Liberia now began and ending with George Weah. No, problem began before Weah, and until we can elect people who care about the country, who is ready to put the country first and foremost, who is willing, because our problem is the lack of enforcing the rule of law. We have laws in the country, but we don't enforce them. People, are corrupt. We do absolutely nothing. We turn a blind eye, because it's my relative or, it's a friend of mine. And until we can begin to really enforce the laws we have on the book, until we can put a halt to impunity in the country, until we can say, look, it doesn't matter who you are. If you violate the law, you will bear the consequences. Until we're ready to do those things, we remain stuck to where we are. We will make no progress. The next leader will come and we'll remain where we are. So I hear all the critics now against the Weah government. What guarantee do we have that if a new administration takes over, they will be any different than the current administration? Because hey, we are from the same country though. We're all Liberians. We're not dropping from out of the sky. Some of the same character traits that are in the current leadership are in everybody that we know. So until people can begin to put love for country before anything else, I believe Volcano Liberia will unfortunately remain in this present predicament we find ourselves.
Yeah.
I took very quickly. I know we'll got to go to what type of country. There's just a few seconds.
Well, I thought what type of country right now. I thought about what.
No. Hold on. They will introduce what type of.
You got to come in with humor, Mr. President.
They will introduce what type of country it is to you. They haven't done so. They should introduce it. I think though, real quickly, we do have people in the country who have the country hat. We need to cultivate those people. Yeah. But more than that, I don't think the progress of our country depends necessarily on just finding the right and the good people. So to add to what you said, Brother Mason, we need a strong, conscious civil society. We need a vibrant media landscape, which is what the Issues Room and other people are doing right now. We need to be critical. We need to be on the backs of those people. We need a strong, conscious civil society that will stand up and confront, not celebrate these corrupt government officials. And that's why I say the University of Liberia students confronting these corrupt officials, it's a really good thing. I think the marketers should jeer at them and confront them too when they go to the market, because their actions, if the streets are not cleaned, if the markets are not clean, even though you're collecting taxes and money from the people and they're getting sick, they should boo you when you go there. Now, should they attack you physically? Should they unethically, insult you and call you names? Maybe not, even though that's really not a violation of the law. But I think the problem in Liberia is we celebrate our corrupt officials too much. Yeah, we celebrate them. When they come and they buy BFLs, we sit with them. They are friends. We say nothing to them. But we cry about corruption in the country. The corruption in the country, as Joe said, is being carried out by citizens, by people we know, by our friends. It's not people from Burkina Faso, but we sit with them and we eat with them, we drink with them, we do nothing. So I think, yes, let's find the right people, but let's also within ourselves, find it within ourselves to confront the system.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what type of country is this? What type of country is this when the second person in the government, the vice president, tells the Liberian people, if you're not part of this CDC government, you will suffer. You will not get job because that's our time to eat. What type of country is this?
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
What type of country is this when students who are studying political science are being barred from practicing politics? What type of country is this?
What type of country is this that Chinese men selling cold water Is that part of the you will not be spectator in the economy? Chinese men selling cold water. Cold water. Chinese men selling cold water. It may leave from where China to come to Liberia to sell cold water. Hey man, what type of country is this?
What type of country is this if half of the country celebrates just for the president traveling out of the country? Doesn't matter where he's going from, but then you take picture with this person. Then you see the picture of the president. He said he take your own camera, he taking selfie with another president of another country.
What type of country is this?
But Joe, let
Joe
go.
You didn't induct Joe now.
The thing. You guys not giving me the rules.
You gotta go ahead, Joe. Listen, okay, so Joe,
what sort of country is this? That a sitting representative can amass militants basically walked on the campus of the university and disrupt classes and get away with impunity. What kind of
type of country is this? Good one, Joe.
What type of country is this? Yeah. So what type of country is this that the man can march from all the way Plonko? You know the name Plonko? You remember Plonko? The man marched from Plonko. He come all the way past by the what they call Effie New Road, come all the way beat it to Satan. Hey, you know what they say? Beat it? Yeah. Beat it to Satan. Came through Jalatan, clear up the hill, come on Capitol Bypass, and marches to the university campus. Only in Liberia. What type of country is this?
And he said he's going to eat. But
yeah,
he all the other eating places.
But what type of country is this that does not even have a helicopter? That one time a politician, the late Daniel Cassell, brought a helicopter all the way as far as Ivory Coast. They were jealous, so they said the helicopter can't come because the whole country does not have its own helicopter. What type of country is this? And they're bragging about all this revenue they're generating. We don't rather even have a helicopter. Yep. What type of country is this?
Yep. What type of country is this that the Capitol building doesn't even have people, nurses, a clinic, or just first aid people? So much so that a senator fell down and they had some people who were here, other people were forward and running down the stairway into throw in tested, so take into the hospital. What kind of country is that?
What type of country is that? What type of country is that? Thomas Awaji says here, what type of country is this? The president is always traveling, but no other world leader can ever visit him. What type of country is this?
That's a cool one.
Come on, you're saying this stuff. Viewers, what type of country is this?
What type of country is this when the seat of the national legislature has no running water? What type of country is this?
Yeah.
That is holding gallon of water, filling a barrel, and they're using the bathroom and looking at their own stuff as they flush it. What type of country is this?
It just one of the low serious though, because I would say, what type of country do we have that the former Chief Justice House can be attacked twice?
Yes.
She requests security protection, doesn't get one, and end up losing her daughter. What type of country is that?
Is
How
this?
do you reward former leaders that way?
Yes. What type of country is this?
And the chairman of the ruling political party says the little girl was killed for ritualistic purposes.
Yeah.
Even before the police conduct.
Yeah, they said that boyo. What type of country is this?
The woman from Maryland, so she must be Bojo.
Yeah, that boyo.
But what type of country is this that Lebanese men are selling fire coal in Liberia too? What type of country is this? So what would be left for Liberian
for the ordinary people now?
Lebanese men selling fire coal in Liberia. What type of country is this? Huh? Hey, man.
What type of country is this when the man works for a whole month and he gets no pay? Whenever he complains, then the supervisor tells him, say, "My man, you are rude. Go home."
You know, I got a scoop, guys. I got a scoop. Certain government officials are here who are banking, government workers who are banking with certain bank, haven't gotten paid because the Comptroller General traveled to go buy CDC campaign materials.
Wow, what type of
country is that?
Thomas Awaji,
so
Thomas
they put the people's salary on hold.
Thomas Awaji say, what type of country is this? What type of country is this when young men and women have to love to lead us to get a dishwashing job?
What type of country is this?
Favor Mercy Grace says, what type of country is this? This president goes watching his son play sport for another country.
What type of country is this?
Yes.
That's a good one.
And take our money, millions of dollars of our money.
Joe, find something, man. What type of country is this?
We're introducing you to the Israel to them, man.
Be thinking I got one here. So, Moses, I like the one you always do. What type of country is this? When they appoint the person to a new job, then he asks, "Jump in there."
When no jump in there, they say, "Man, I want to job."
Hey, remember during the distribution of the different ministries and stuff under the state council government, everybody wanted finance, everybody wanted LPRC, but when they say sending the man the information or the internal affairs,
but you know what?
Refusing government appointment.
But you know what? The journalist can report say Mr. Moses Sandy has been appointed to the lucrative job of Ministry of Finance. When they send Joe to Information Ministry, they say you were appointed to the Ministry of Information. they say it dejectedly.
What type of country is this, man?
Oh man.
Yeah. What type of country is this when the man gave wife, money to buy food, the woman take her shell?
Lead the women, my man. Lead the women.
He said, go buy food for the family, my man. The woman take her shell.
But what type of country is this? What type of country is this that people put his cell phone in the private parts just to protect it? Can you imagine?
When the phone is ringing, then they know how to answer.
they gotta put hair under their clothes to get a phone or to answer it. What type of country is this? I mean, it's that bad. It's that bad that you gotta put your cell phone in your private part area just to protect it. I was talking to somebody, but he said I'm about to leave or around 9 o'clock. Let me go. I gotta hang on and put my phone where nobody can reach that because they try to reach that. Joseph Conto says, what type of country is this where public healthcare institutions don't have gloves for nurses, but the president is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on foreign travel?
What type of country is this? That's a very good one.
That's an excellent one.
Yeah, it's excellent.
But I like to go back to that guy. He says, what type of country is this that the youth chairman of Nuclear Town is 45 years old?
The man's 45-year-old and he has never worked. He has never worked.
And he just live with his parents. He qualifies as a youth.
Yeah, the man's 45. He got 5 children and he has never worked.
Our old man from Australia, Adiaha Umu, she says, what type of country is this when the first lady is placed in our budget?
What type of country?
Jatusia Morris says, what type of country is this when citizens are going to beg by 19 hours?
Yeah, what type of country is this?
Yes.
Ruben Harris says, what type of country is this when you work and pay taxes, but to use the government ambulance, you must buy gas? He says, what type of country is this when the president caught a speech from the citizens? What type of country is this when the president wouldn't speak to the citizens of the pulpit of his church?
He said that man.
Sometimes you feel more comfortable.
Why she says, what type of country is this when you are held hostage if you cannot pay your hospital bills?
And that one man got a country death. Yeah, what type of country is it?
But the thing is, when they hold you in the hospital and you are accumulating more bills.
But listen, Rams said, what type of country is this when the opposition is afraid to announce his running mate?
You got the opposition.
Do they have to do it now?
But at the anxiety because people want to know if the opposition is solid.
The people said them, but what's going on here now? When were they made? Now they were
because we want to know if the opposition is solid.
Everybody watching the other person to announce first.
What type of country is this by Eric Daisy? That the firefighter can go and see the fire and then go back to prepare for it.
By the time they get back, everything goes.
Everything assumed. Man, we inside.
What type of country is it when a man commits a crime and the man is taken to the police? The person who takes the person to the police, then they say, "Oh, but my man, you gotta bring something to feed him, man." If you can't feed the man, my man will release the man.
So the man gonna go back and make crowd. But in that same vein, what type of country is this? What type of country is this when they free all the prisoners because no space in the jail?
What type of country is this, right?
What type of country is this? Rams Nutter said, before you meet the president, you have to go at his church and shout amen.
And he got to force you saying so the president can recognize you in the congregation.
Joseph Conto says, what type of country is this where patients buy gasoline for ambulances before you can take them to the hospital?
Oh my God.
They said the man pass out and say, "Oh, but man, you don't buy gas."
the man already passed out. How you be able to buy the gas?
Mercy Grace says, what type of country is this where everyone knows the president potential, rather personal affairs?
Yeah, what type of country is this? Yeah.
Even a party chairman.
Yeah, is that my man?
Why you say what type of country is this? People are calling people in the diaspora just for $5.
That is awesome, man.
What type of country is this when legislators want to be pensioned for life? Life forever, rather, when you are just 31 years old. So some of the legislators like Akara's greater than our young boys, but they won't.
Yeah. But didn't they just pass that pension bill though?
No, that is still.
No, they didn't pass it. No, they didn't pass
it. I thought I saw something that it did.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. But it's still on the table. They're still passing it around.
What type of country is this?
So, Joe, I thought to bring this back. The other day we were talking about what type of country is this. Policeman said in the car, and the girlfriend falls in the car. He takes it and put it under a hat. And he put it on, and the girl looking for a phone in the car, and then the other passenger said, "But man, give me your number, let me call it." And then they dial the number, and the phone ringing on underneath the man. Policeman all stealing. So they both said, "Well, my man, get a girl phone, man." He said, "But I found it."
He said, you found it and it didn't in your heart, my man."
That's funny.
You find it while you're hiding it.
Yeah, like, what type of country is this, eh?
Abu Hall says, what type of country is this? People selling land 10 times to 10 different persons.
That's the next thing that we're gonna be dealing with, my man.
Ruben Harris says, what type of country is this? When a rogue steals your property, you inform the police and they do nothing about it.
Yeah.
But when you found a rogue and repossesses your property, then the police say, pay smarty. So you do the police work, but then you pay them for doing the work.
You gotta pay them, yeah. You know, what type of country is this when you have a case
So Thomas, like, why you say what type of country is this with checkpoint all over the city in time of peace?
In peacetime.
What type of country is this?
Favor Mercy Graces, what type of country is this? Tanku J runs to be representative. Even Tanku J runs to be representative.
You want to be represented, yeah.
What not Takunje?
What's that?
What not Takunje? Now, what may I say? What not Takunje?
Why not Takunje?
What type of country is this? What not Takunje?
I guess that's the name. Tanku J. That's little Tanku J. Legislator Tanku J.
So that on what party? What party carrying the man, my man?
Remember Clark says, what type of country is this? You can even log on to Facebook, you scary.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's a great show.
Well, I say we can take our closing statements now. Yeah. Let's start with Joe, National President ALJA. A minute.
Well, so next time I hopefully come back better prepared for what.
Yeah.
For what type of country is this?
But you try, my man. You try. No rules about it. So let me put it this way: the what type of country segment, it has to do with what are particular to our country and strange to everybody else. You know, and I always equate it to Charles Taylor's statement: the white man, the black man, and the Liberian man. All of these things are really common to the Liberian man, and that is what our country is made out of. The things that, you know, other people would frown on, that's the one that we live like it's normal. Yeah. You know, policeman stealing from passenger in the car, put on a hat. and what it did, they just took the phone from him and he made out of his body. No redress.
The policeman stole.
Can he man selling cold water in Liberia? Like when he man selling charcoal? You know, no redress. So these are the things that make our country this type of country.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I just want to thank you all, man, for the invitation to be here today and just, you know, talk about, amongst other things, issues, you know, that concerns our country. Obviously, we talked about the remark for the U.S. ambassador. I think we all agree that responsible and ethical journalism is something we all desperately need in our country, especially as we go towards election. But again, we disagree with the lack of specificity in the ambassador's remark. We disagree with some of the points he made relative to what is unfolding here in the diaspora when it comes to information dissemination. But again, I think we're grateful to the United States overall for what they continue to do in our country. We're grateful particularly to the ambassador as well for his service. I know his tenure is about to end, and we're hopeful that the next ambassador will be even more robust in this fight against corruption, because I think we need that critical voice, because as a country, we can do so much better. There's so much. We have enormous capacity. We have enormous resources, and I think we need as a country to do better than what we're doing right now. Hopefully, our leaders can realize that you know what is at stake is important, it's significant. The millions of people that depend on good leadership, and our leadership is lacking. People suffer, and hopefully, you know, our leaders can realize that. Again, thank you again so much. Alfonso, again, welcome to the team. Good to be here and engage in the discussion. Looking forward to more of such discussions in the future. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Joe. We'll take leave of you. Thank you. Gentlemen, let me put through this in quick. Jatu Sia Morris, and this is true, that our country, what type of country is this, that our airport is controlled by Ghanaians? And I told you the language when you get to the airport is Akwaba.
Akwaba. Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's still a bit more.
Can you imagine, my man? He got Akwaba at the Liberian airport?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So it only solidifies that the president goes to his Opong route. You know, what a shame. Alfonso, closing
Yeah, yeah. I'll begin with the ambassador's statement regarding, the cloud that he cast on, Liberians in the diaspora. Again, I think it's the tone and the fact that he didn't spell out people, but I think we all do know that in our midst there are people who are irresponsible, and I think it's our obligation and our responsibility, as people who try to be professional, as people who try to do the right thing, to point these people out, because it doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve us well. It doesn't serve anybody well. So I think it's important to uproot those bad apples amongst us. So I think we should seize this opportunity and use it to point out those people, even where the ambassador failed to do so, to say, well, XYZ is wrong, but also show that by being the professionals that we are, by following the ethics of the journalism profession. I think we should continue to be vigilant. We shouldn't let the ambassadors come and tamp down anybody. We should continue to be vigilant in attacking and exposing the corruption, abuse, and misuse of power in our country. Because at the end of the day, as the ambassador himself has said, that rests in the hands of the Liberian people. It's us who have to make the change. No ambassador statement, no other government statement is going to bring change to our country. It's us who have to do it. So we have to seize the mantle and do our best. Continue to do our best through the issues room, but through other outlets and institutions such as ALJA, as we have been doing.
Was this?
Yeah, well, I would say it was indeed a great show. We had the opportunity already taking a critical look at what the ambassador said. Like everyone else said earlier, Liberian podcasters, Liberian journalists are not saints. Yeah, we do make mistakes. We are not infallible. We make mistakes, but for someone to, make a blanket statement that indicts everyone, I think is unfortunate. The ambassador aired, and he must muster the courage to say that, yes, his pronouncement was not well calculated. We respect him for all what the United States has done and continue to do for Liberia, but this time he was in error. We disagree with him on that. So I would like to wrap it by saying that, hey guys, it was a pleasure being here this evening, and I look forward to another great show on Tuesday. Thank you.
Well, from my end, I think again there was some who said the ambassador says some. So in the context of some, why is not spelled out? The issues room would not be a part of the sum. Yep. And we have been here as professional journalists who have worked in the field, so we know better. Yep. Of course, some of the podcasts that are on social media, particularly Facebook, many of the folks are just in the spotlight today. They have not been trained. They don't understand the ethical transgressions they may cause as a result of some of the things that they say or do, and some of the guests they bring into the studios. But overall, I think we can still take the ambassador's statement and say, listen, facts to some of what he said, and that can be a guidance for you and I, Alfonso, Moses, you and myself, and to the other platform who that mean well for Liberia. But overall, I think the ambassador has done extremely well since his tenure to speak against many of the things that the Liberian people and the oppositions are not speaking about. Yeah. In fact, he delivered more on behalf of the downtrodden masses in terms of what he says and how he's acted, compared to what those who want to take state powers are failing to do. And I think they can draw from this experience as we rush to the line, to the finish line, heading to the elections. It's time that the opposition take over from where the ambassador stops, because, of course, a lot of that kind of conversation and the things being said with regards to holding the government's foot to the fire is critical. We can't continue to play business as usual. We cannot. You're already in the situation, so there's no need to fear. Just do it with civility. Just do it with respect. Just do it with conscience. And I think that we have a long way to go, but overall, what we're doing here collectively, as a result of us in the diaspora, irrespective of what we say, we support that economy in unprecedented term. Everything that going to Liberia, coming from here, are the sweat, blood, and tears that they talk about, that you and I can barely sleep, and we're working to help people. So we've contributed immensely outside of what other people are saying. So overall, I think we should still give ourselves in the diaspora a tap on the back for what we've done for our country. We'll speak and we'll act and we'll do, and we're doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you all. So we'll catch up again on Tuesday. By God's grace. Alfonso, good seeing you. Good seeing you, Moses.
Sure.
We'll reconvene during the course of the weekend.
Yeah, and figure out,
what we're going to do.
What
Thank
we
you,
wanna
guys.
talk about.
You're still on
thank
camera.
you.
Thank you.
You're still
Thank
on
you,
camera.
guys. Yep.
You're still on camera. Just hold that.
Okay.